Today, we're going to try out something different, IndyCar racing. What a Sunday it was for Alex Palou and Will Power. I'm here with someone that it's been a minute we haven't collaborated, Avery Jones. Avery, how are you?
I'm good, Miguel. It's great to be back. And I love this story about Alex Palau because he's doing something also because he's young. Also because
Avery,
he's young and he's doing something that even Mario Andretti says, I think is a focus to even in racing, whether you're a NASCAR fan, whether you're, IndyCar, Formula One, when you have a youth movement that is loving, the sport, it works in your favor. And I believe he's 28. So, lot of years left. Lot of years left.
he's very young, Avery, and he's only the fourth driver in IndyCar history to win three consecutive championships. And he's a four-time Indy car champion. What a day has been for this young man. He's been sensational. I never imagined, Avery, that I would get into sports like tennis, NASCAR, and now IndyCar. I never imagined that. Never my wildest dreams.
But that's
And
the wonderful
yesterday,
thing about sports. But that's the best thing about sports. Even if you grew up, being from New York, you probably grew up with a lot of baseball. Me, same thing. But that's the wonderful thing about sports. It's either you hear these great stories, you see them, and then all of a sudden you're addicted. And then once you're addicted, you can't help yourself.
and I'm always gonna say this, but I'm grateful that I have met you, Avery, because not everyone is as versatile when it comes to sports like the way we are, and I love to see that versatility. But and also we gotta yeah, thank you once again. Um, very grateful for that sports broadcasting course. That's where it all began. And what about Will Power? He was
Yeah.
not gonna go away this season without a win,
No,
and
it looked that way.
unbelievable.
It looked that way, especially with two races left, because you know, the thing I'm always interested in racing is it can be, everybody talks about that millisecond, that choice you need to make. And there were a lot of things going on with a lot of races this season, especially for him, that it was tough that you think, especially because he drives for Penske. He drives for Penske Racing, I believe. So, and Penske has been in a slump this year, and my familiarity with Penske Racing is, of course, from NASCAR. So, I mean, when you were part of these great teams, like anything, they expect you to produce. And what can also happen is if you're not producing, then like anything, and we've seen it with other people in sports, in baseball and football, golf even, you know, once you start a slump, it's kind of hard to get out of it. But the persistence that he had made it worthwhile. So he did a very good job, and it's weird, especially because we're talking about a sport where they average like 180 miles per hour, around a track. So trying to be conservative, but yet occasionally aggressive, for a win can sometimes work in your favor.
Yep, and I gotta say, I enjoyed those last 20 laps. Those last 20 laps were very fun to watch. And there was even an accident. I forgot what lap was it, but it was a freakish accident that happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that's also another thing. I'm like, for someone who grew up in NASCAR, and granted, I know we're talking about IndyCar, but Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s crash is still a vivid memory, especially because it happened at Daytona. Daytona is not far from where I live. So with IndyCar, you're talking about a car that weighs considerably less than NASCAR, but also goes exceedingly faster, but then you don't have as much slope, so you're going around that track, you're making, aggressive moves, because even Alex Palou, he got podium for his title, but even with the amount of laps left, he was very aggressive. He could have been a bit conservative, but if he knew he could clinch his title, I think he took the chance. But IndyCar, like any racing, the speed, the car, the driver, of course, for those that don't want to say like driving is a sport, driving is absolutely a sport, because you're talking mental and physical faculties that need to be adhered to. And these drivers, not just those that do IndyCar, but, any type of motorsport, even those that race motorcycles. So, it's something that, people need to look more into, and don't just say, "Oh, I can do that," and get behind the wheel. No, you can't. No, you
Yeah.
can't. No, you can't. This is skill and learning that you need to look into. And just like you said before, when you become versatile in sports, you realize there's more than just picking up a ball, picking up a bat, getting behind the wheel of a vehicle, picking up a golf club. There's so much more. There's so much more.
And that's the thing, TV entertainment, they can fool anybody thinking that, I mean, come on, it's not as easy as it looks. It's the same thing with acting. People think, well, I can do that. No, it takes a lot of dedication, a lot of patience, concentration. So it is not as easy as it looks. As much as I like driving, but that's you gotta be mentally tough for that. You gotta be
Yeah.
super mentally tough for that. Same thing with wrestling. You gotta be super tough
Oh
for that.
yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Especially with a lot of these venues, we're still in the middle of summer. We're still in the middle of summer. And even though this race was in Portland, I believe the high was maybe around like 85. So not only you're talking about the heat of the day, you're talking about your helmet, you're talking about your jumpsuit, which I believe, their jumpsuits now are very fire retardant. So, and then you're going around for X amount of laps, you know, for however long. So it's definitely mental, also physical as well. But when you have these people that love it, then you become very excited when they win. Just like I was excited for Alex to win. Got two races left. He can still, I believe he can still break the points title, I believe they said. So he could still rack up some more points to make his title win even more extraordinary. So this young man has done very well in the past, you know, 5 years, really. So this is something we want to look out for. This is someone we want to watch, especially even for just getting into IndyCar. If anything, you start with who's winning, you learn about them, you learn about their background. IndyCar has teams, so you learn who his teammates are, you learn about them, and then you work your way outward. And then all of a sudden you become very engrossed in how the sport works. And it's a very interesting sport. I can't emphasize that enough. I can't emphasize that enough.